Welcome everybody. I just wanted to give you a quick little video, give some just basic nuts and bolts of the class, and then you can jump online and go into course content and look at our session 1 folder and see all of the things you need to complete this week. Alrighty, it's 7 January 2018 and this is a philosophy class called Ethics. Now, as you'll soon find out, philosophy rules our lives, whether or not we realize it or not. So, you will quickly see in the first week when we do Introduction to Philosophy and Ethics that, yes, we make value decisions all day long. And to illustrate this, to quote Plato's character Socrates in the Republic, Plato has Socrates say, hey, we are talking about no small matter but how we should live. And this is what we do in ethics. So, all of you are taking this course probably from some value judgment. You value an education, you value a degree for some reason, and that's why you're here. And you're taking it online versus face-to-face for some other value reasons. So these are all ethical questions. All right. So this is your fearless instructor. The Study Abroad Greece program at Mississippi State, you can, I think it's still offered every year. But there you have it. There I'm actually faking teaching. This was a photo op on the right. And this kid is faking reading. Anyway. But yeah, email me every day. You cannot email me too much. I will put more lectures on the Tougher Hammonds channel, and there will be links in Blackboard to those lectures. But yeah, feel free to say, hey, Tougher, I'm not getting this. Let me know. Can you do me a quick 5-10 minute video on this subject? And I will oblige you as soon as I can. Here's some courses from last spring. A lot of fun teaching logic and ethics. If you know anybody. Anyway. All right, what are we going to do in this ethics class? We're going to cover theories in the first third of the course, and then we're going to look at a bunch of different issues. And I'll change these issues each semester, so who knows what I'll delete and add since students are interested in one thing or the other, or I get bored with some topic. All right, we'll look at the big issues in the beginning between moral relativism and moral objectivism. Are there real or objective moral principles or values or properties in the world? Do good and evil, right and wrong really exist? Or are they all relative to what humans believe? Either whole cultures or individuals. We'll look at that question first and knock it out of the way, and then we're going to assume that moral relativism is false for the rest of the class. We'll look at these theories of moral realism and moral objectivism, natural law theory, which was very important for Aristotle, Cicero, John Locke, and the founding fathers, the framers of the Constitution. And we see that in the Declaration of Independence, where natural rights come from God. So we'll look at that. Then we'll look at versions of egoism. So we'll read a bit of Thomas Hobbes and Friedrich Nietzsche and Ayn Rand, and have a fun discussion on those issues. Then we'll look at the utilitarianism of Mill and Bentham, and we're going to focus on Mill since we're going to have his textbook in our hand. But and then we will look at Kant, his deontological theory, and we'll look at Aristotle's virtue ethics and spend some time in books 1 and 2 of the Nicomachean Ethics. That's another one of your textbooks. All right. You'll get clear on the views, how to use the views. I'll give you cases, and you'll be tested on the midterm and final. I'll say, hey, here's this case. What would you do if you're a utilitarian? Or what would you do if you were Kant? Or what would Aristotle do? And explain the reasoning process. All right. Then we'll look at some issues. We'll look at the arguments for and against. And we'll get clear on the views, arguments for and against, and we will all disagree. But hey, if we have sharp minds and tender hearts, we'll have a lot of fun on the discussion board. Free speech is one of the biggest issues, I think. So that's another reason why we have John Stuart Mill. That's going to be one of the readings, and we'll talk about current issues currently. So I read some statistic that 90% of the news on President Trump is negative and only 5% positive. So I guess 5% neutral. So just think about that. If the news on any one person in the classroom or the news on you is 90% negative, would you be able to get a fair shake at anything? And is 90% of that, about any particular person, negative? Is that actually true? So we have a big problem with free speech in this country that we'll look at with all these issues. So ethics and worldviews, we'll look at, does ethics make more sense on if a loving personal God exists, like the God Jesus revealed, or does it make more sense if God does not exist, if scientific atheism is true, or the worldview of naturalism? You know what, let me use my pen. Or no, I want a highlighter. Forgive me here. So, then we'll look at issues of economic justice. This is also big. So most of America, the professors and media, are big government statists, and they believe in big government philosophy and redistributing wealth. Now that might be the true political philosophy. Or the founding fathers, the natural law theorists, who wanted a small government and wanted individuals to take care of each other and not government. We'll discuss that. We'll look at the philosophy of personhood. What is a person? What distinguishes persons from non-persons? So we'll look at the substantial theory and the supervenient theories, and we'll apply these to embryonic stem cell research, the question of abortion or feticide or infanticide. Then we'll look at jihadist Islamism, which might be one of the other number one ethical issues facing us today, since jihadists are trying to destroy the West, and they use verses in the Quran and the Hadiths to justify their behavior. So we'll have to examine those issues. Also, we might do environmental ethics, death penalty, and a bunch of other questions. All right, paper number 2 is going to be up to you. It's going to be over an issue that we do not cover together in class. So you get to choose your topic. So you'll choose one article for, one article against, and you'll do your paper on that. So you'll have some freedom on that issue. All right, what are we doing each week? The discussion board is the heart of the course. So we're going to start posting on Tuesday or Wednesday morning at the latest. Your first post is due by noon Wednesday. And we have to continue the discussion over at least 3 days, and you want to shoot for a minimum 5 posts to 10 posts. So I'll be on the discussion board every day except Sunday, discussing things with you. So you want to get clear on the issues, arguments for and against, and where you come down on those things. Oftentimes you don't have to even reveal your own opinion. You just choose an interesting passage and choose discussion questions around it. So we'll spend a lot of time in the text. All right, the quizzes are not really quizzes. You can take these over and over again, and I want you to read the feedback, and then your highest grade will record in the grade book. So you could take those over and over again, but I would do that first during the week. So you'll see what I want you to learn if you take the quiz. And you'll see a lot of, I cite a lot of the parts of the text and whatnot. All right, so YouTube lectures over the PowerPoints. These are the PowerPoints I use in face-to-face classes. They're designed to help you with the readings and the discussion board. So check those out. Let me know if the sound's messed up or I need to re-record one of them if it's awful. Constructive criticism is welcomed. All right, here are our textbooks. We're going to look at Mill and Aristotle. The last issue we're going to do this semester is Aristotle's philosophy of friendship. So we'll use Aristotle for natural law theory. We'll use his books 1 and 2 for when we look at Aristotelian ethics. And then we'll look at 2 of his later books that are the philosophy of friendship. And students tend to love this thing. I mean, one of the most important ethical questions all of us have is what is a good friend, how to be a good friend, how to choose a good friend. And yes, I've known people in their 30s and 40s, they told me that they had a horrible philosophy of friendship until they're in their 30s and 40s. And they wasted a lot of emotional energy on bad friendships and so on. So, yeah, curiously, students tend to really like the philosophy of friendship. And we'll talk about it in the context of the ethics of social media. Facebook, is it destroying friendships? Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, are these things destroying friendships, or are they helping friendships? And are they helping friendships of a certain kind and whatnot? What would Aristotle say about Snapchat and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook? All right. Mill we'll use in the chapter on utilitarianism. We'll also use him in free speech, and we'll also use this textbook in our question of economic justice. So he has very interesting definitions of freedom and liberty, which even though he was subsequent to our founding fathers, they have a similar view of Jefferson and so on. So we'll use Mill on 1, 2, 3 sessions. We'll use Aristotle on 3 sessions. So that's why I chose these 2 textbooks. They're both under $10 each online or at the bookstore. So if you can find them used, but get these editions. You want these Oxford World Classic editions. So we're talking about the same page numbers. Otherwise, you're going to have to type out passages. So, yeah. All right. Here are optional books. You don't have to get any of these, but if you find them used online for $5, you might think about it. All right. Paper number 1 is going to be about a decision you're currently facing in your life where you're stuck. So you're trying to decide whether to transfer to Ole Miss or transfer to a nursing college in Florida, or whether or not you're graduating this year and you're debating whether to take a job close to your fiance who lives in Starkville, or your dream job up in Cookeville, Tennessee, whatever. Or maybe it's something simple as quitting smoking or starting to work out, or boundary issues with friends and family members make great papers. So you might have to forgive a parent and try to decide what type of a relationship you have with this parent or a cousin or friend or what have you. Roommate issues. I read a lot of papers on roommate issues every week, every semester. So anyway, you're going to use Scott Ray's 7-step model for moral decision making, which works with any religion. And it's basically a deontological model which uses a little consequentialist step 6 to solve stalemates. But I've used this model for the last 20 years. So feel free to, at the back of the book, he gives examples and he gives his 7-step model. All right. I might buy this audio edition and listen to it next week. Philosophy for Dummies. This is Tom Morris, who used to teach at Notre Dame. This is his intro to philosophy course shoved into a book. And students actually love this. It's not an insult that it's for dummies. It's his Philosophy 101 course where he gives a couple chapters on ethics, which I think are fantastic summaries of things. And this is under $10 on Amazon, ABE Books, or Chegg.com. So you can grab that if you want. It's great to keep on your bookshelf after class is finished. And email me about anything you read in that on my Gmail account when the semester's over and we can discuss it. So yeah, I love doing philosophy on Gmail with former students, and this would be a good one to have on your shelf. Paper number 2, as I mentioned, is about an issue of your choice. And some students have a real problem getting 2 peer-reviewed journal articles. You can't use blogs or news or websites. You have to find philosophy articles that came from journals. So I would recommend, if you are fearful of the library, or the librarians will help you. Call them up and they can help you with whatever. But you might even want to find this online and find 2 articles on an issue you're concerned about and then say, hey, can you, MSU librarians, help me find these 2 articles? I want to do my paper on these 2 articles. So you might even just look at this on Amazon.com to find 2 articles that you want to have the librarians look up. All right. So, yeah, some students have trouble finding those articles, and fair warning. How to ace this class. Be proactive. Schedule time for readings, videos, and the discussion board, especially discussion board. I failed a few online courses myself. Why? Because I was not proactive. I didn't schedule. I didn't plan on, all right, I got to get this done by Tuesday, Wednesday, start early in the week. Instead, I'm doing things on Sunday night. That does not work in this class. We have to start discussing early in the week and continue the discussion. In case you get something wrong or need to be challenged, you have major points taken off for post dumps if you just do all your posts Sunday night before the deadline. That defeats the best thing about online philosophy, which is the discussion board. Now, I love goofing off in class. I love hanging out with students and doing philosophy club. That's actually the best place to do philosophy. This is second best. This is where you could write something, I challenge you. You can sit and think about it for a day or two and then reply. That's why I love online philosophy, because even the quiet people in the classroom have to speak. And yeah, I get to know you much better, and I read every single one of your posts. I apologize, I will not have time to reply to everybody in the classroom every week. I do what I can. And so I will do that. That was a woman telling me I'm getting kicked out of the library at 6 o'clock. Why did she have to tell me that? Anyway, I know. All right. Also, YouTube lectures over PowerPoints in the email, and so on. Also, we have spent a lot of time with these primary texts. We're going to focus on Aristotle and Mill. You'll also read some Kant, Nietzsche. But since you'll have the paper copies in your hand, we're going to spend some good time on those, and email me questions. Aristotle's hard to learn, so I'll help you. Yeah, philosophy is a difficult beast to tame, but we can do it together. Also, we need to have these 2 virtues, sharp minds and tender hearts. As philosophers, we want to become better thinkers. The intellectual virtue of a sharp mind is essential as we look at these important topics. I encourage you guys to take logic, because logic will sharpen your minds as well. Also, having a tender heart is essential. We're going to disagree about everything in here. We're all going to come down on different issues. We're going to have people of all different worldviews or religions. But that's okay. As long as we say, hey, these are the best arguments for and against. Hey, you know what? I side with these arguments. You side with these other arguments. And that's just where it is. But we can push each other like, well, what about this argument? I think this argument is pretty weak, and so on. And I think we'll try to model this. I'm not perfect, but I think we can discuss anything, politics and religion, as long as we are respectful. Now, even if Christianity is false, I love Peter's verse in 1 Peter 3:15, where he says he encourages Christians to be able to give a reason for the hope they have within them with meekness and fear. So basically, use a sharp mind, but also have a tender heart. So we have to know when to shut up. We have to know when to drop it. And we have to also be bold and make some good challenges in love. All right. This semester, we have 1 week equals 1 session. Starts Monday morning and Sunday night. Everything in a folder is due. So you'll have a quiz to take, which you can take over and over, read the feedback, look up the things. You have the readings, video lectures, 5 to 10 discussion board posts, and when you get time, work on paper 1 or paper number 2. It's best to chip away at both of these papers. Paper number 1 will be due before spring break. Paper number 2 before finals week. And again, new lectures can be recorded anytime. Just let me know. Logic, I'll be using screen sharing. I don't know if it'll help us, but if you want to, we can use that app if it helps. More useful in logic with proofs, but hey. And yeah, that's it. Email me. Again, you can email me every day. Don't be shy. I miss hanging out after class, before class, during class, goofing off. But I love online learning better because I don't have to shut you up. In class, I have to shut up students. I can't let them talk for 45 minutes. Online, you can talk for 45 minutes. Well, the equivalent of talking online, typing. There's my niece and nephews, and there you have it. Hail State. Let's to the love of wisdom. All right. I'll see you online. So yeah, quickly, if you want to go to course content, you'll see the course calendar. This is kind of rough, but this is what we're going to do. All these sessions, and then we have all these units. I'll probably rearrange them, so don't work ahead. And here we have each of these things here. So yeah, for week 1, just click on this, and you'll see what you have to do. You'll have to do a mini bio discussion board, and then boom, discussion board number 1. State your main post early in the week, go back, reply to classmates over 3 days. I'll be checking every day, though I usually check out on Sunday. So make sure, I'm going to try to get the majority of the discussion done Tuesday to Friday. So yeah, the ITS Help Desk, these guys are great if you're stuck, MSU Distance Education. ITS Help Desk. And there's your quiz. There's your lecture. I'll take you to the Tough for Hammonds channel. You can watch it. Then I'll throw some of these extra videos on, like Crash Course Philosophy. And School of Life has some decent videos that are quick little things there. Also, I have some optional PowerPoints if you want to look at those. Alrighty. Email me. Don't use Blackboard messaging, because I don't check Blackboard messages. Sound good? Alrighty. I will catch you guys online this week.